Hi all, this is Once and Future Gamer, and welcome to another Pokemon Challenge. Last time was a pretty brutal run through Pokemon Black as we sought to see if I could beat that game with just a single Trubbish. Today though, we head to Generation 3 as we see if I can beat Pokemon Emerald with just a single Gulpin. Let's talk about Gulpin. We've got a 302 base stat total, and we are the only Pokemon in existence to have that. That stat total is 1 point worse than Yamask, Golett and Flabébé, but we are 2 points better than an average first form pseudo-legendary. Put it like that, it doesn't sound bad. Our best stat is our HP at 70, our defences are next best at 53 each. Our worst stat is our speed at 40, and if I really wanted to put a positive spin on things, we are at least a mixed attacker. Not that either of those attack stats are anything fancy. We are mono poison pre-Gen 6, so we are weak to ground and psychic. We resist fighting, poison, bug and grass. Our learn set isn't too bad. We get sludge quite early on, which could be useful early game. We get sludge bomb a bit later on. There is stuff we might get some mileage out of, like toxic and amnesia, but I wouldn't bet too heavily on it though. Stall tactics aren't always a favourite to do when I need attacking move coverage on a single Pokemon run. That said though, there is one difference between this and the Trubbish I used last time, in that we get a stack of TM coverage. There's water moves, there's grass moves, there's ice, electric, ghost and normal, so we get some pretty useful options. Water Pulse might be a bit late to be useful, but Ice Beam is always handy. Giga Drain might be a nice option for the back end of the game. Shadow Ball could be really useful too for annoying Ghost and Psychic types. Predictions. You might think that the Rock Gym could be hard. I've actually seen something that will make it probably easier than you might think. The Electric Gym will probably be the first real stumbling block, I think, and then we should be good all the way up to the Psychic Gym. After that, Phoebe might be annoying, but I think we should be golden all the way through. There is going to be something that takes me by surprise though, I reckon. The rules are on the screen throughout, and this challenge was suggested by Patreon Jason Cabanut. As always, if you do enjoy what you see, then like, subscribe and ring that bell. I use the Universal Pokemon Randomizer to replace Torchic with Gulpin, so that I can do the whole run with it. I chose to replace Torchic so that our rival would have Mudkip, which, when it becomes the Park Ground type Marsh Stomp, will be the hardest for us to fight. Hard is a relative term when it comes to the Hoenn rival, more on that later. We save Professor Birch from being attacked, and he gives us our Gulpin, who we nickname Camille. I don't really have a reason for this beyond Swalot looking a bit French with the moustache. We will not be evolving her into Swalot though, that would defeat the purpose. Camille has the Sticky Hold ability, which we've got for the second week in a row, and also the Lonely Nature, which has increased attack and lowered defence. I'm not sure how I feel about that if I'm honest. More attack is nice, but being more squishy to ground type moves isn't. So that's something we'll have to deal with. I go and do a bit of grinding on the local Poochyena. I've already got an idea what I'd like my final moveset to be, and it involves some physical attacks, so getting some physical attack EVs is going to be nice. I feel like this is a good use of my time. Poochyena give attack EVs, Zigzagoon give speed. I do wish that I could grind our special attack EVs this early on, but unfortunately that's not something that I'm really able to do, which I don't like, more the unfortunate stuff. Oh well, actually, because our speed is so bad, it might not be the worst thing to train and develop. The May fight isn't really worth talking about because it's not a challenge. We've done a bit of training to make it so, more ahead of the first gym than anything else. We have both Yawn and Poison Gas now, and I'm not sure if I'll be keeping either, it definitely won't be both. But we do land poison gas on the first turn to poison the Mudkip, and then we start hitting each other as she lands tackles and we go for pounds. Two tiny combatants trading blows like heavyweight champions. Unfortunately, our superior strength tells as we manage to slowly pound the Mudkip into the grass. You might think I'm going to struggle to beat Roxanne with only poison and normal moves, and that would be the case. But here's the thing, it's rare that you do get TMs before the first gym, but not in this game, as there is a kid who gives us the Bullet Seed TM and we can learn that move. It's not going to cause massive damage, but it is going to be quite effective against her Geodude. Let us see how this goes then, because I am ready to fight her for dominance. I'm always grateful that she mentions the trainer's school, and this is one of the few Pokemon games where such a building exists and you aren't forced to go into it via the story, since I believe that happens in both Gen 4 and 5. So, lessons weren't learned. We do have a bit of a level lead going into this fight, and versus the first Geodude, we can take it down with a single blast of Bullet Seed. Our special attack isn't fantastic, but neither is Geodude's special defense. The first round of it hits to put its health beneath half, and then the second round hits to take it down hard. So, that's one Geodude down. The second one doesn't fare much better as we crash another flurry of Bullet Seeds into it, the first one dropping its health below half, and then the second round of the move taking it down. Nose Pass is last though, and this can be dangerous. Unlike Geodude, Nose Pass actually has passable special defense, so even when we are hitting multiple times, Bullet Seed doesn't do that much damage. I will say that we do get a few crits in this fight with the move, so it's not all a bad thing, but it is slow. Also, the bad thing is that she has both her potions going into this round, and because Bullet Seed doesn't do that much damage, we drop the Nose Pass into healing range a few times, and that's decidedly not good because it means we've got to wear it down again. Thankfully, bar one Rock Tomb and a pretty ineffective block, it never hits us again, thanks to us using Yawn and managing to keep it asleep. It is a slow old slog, but we do eventually get through it. We get her to waste her healing items in trying to keep the slumbering Nose Pass alive, and we can take her down first try for the first badge. Next is the maid fight at the exit to Rustboro City, and since we are here, we might as well try our hand against her. The only ever really hard rival fight in Hoenn Gen 3 is the one after this, so I'm not too worried. She begins with a Torkoal that we never see again after this fight, and we start to fire sludge attacks at it, since it is probably our best move in this circumstance, all while it starts to use Curse. And I can just imagine it screaming, "Stop trying to bleeping poison me!" Which incidentally, we do on the second turn, and given Curse makes both attack and defense rise, we are doing less and less damage with Sludge, since all poison moves were physical in this generation. But even when she goes on the attack with Ember, we are fine, we can take it down with a combination of our own moves and poison damage. Mudkip is next, and we strike a 3-hit Bullet Seed to take its health below half, which is nice, but then she goes to Bide, and I figure we don't have time to waste, so we fire a Sludge at the Mudfish and we duly drop it to give us the win and advance us to level 22. The fighting gym and the battle with Brawly is next, and I don't anticipate this one being too difficult because we resist that type. I'm not saying it will be super easy, but I think we're probably going to be in with a decent chance. My worry is Makahita spamming bulk up to try and overpower us, because for something that is incredibly weak, Makahita has the potential to be a problem. I have a plan though. We begin the fight versus Machop and 2-hit that with Sludge, while it hits us with a low kick that doesn't do any sort of real damage to us. That's one down. Meditite is next, and this thing doesn't have a decent attacking move. It can't hurt us as long as we keep attacking it to stop the focus punch. It survives our sludge on red health and goes for bulk up. Brawly heals it, and our second sludge does about 2/3 of its health. I figure I can get one over on him here. Another sludge would take Meditite down, but I go for pound instead, knowing that it won't knock it out. We put it on red health and he wastes his second super potion, so at least we are going to have an easier time versus Mah-Dry-Bread now. He fails with a few focus punches and we eventually drop it through sludge and the hardly ever spotted 5 successful strikes of Bullet Seed. Mah-Dry-Bread then. We strike a sludge early and do well over half to get him to waste the citrus berry, but while it goes to bulk up, using that move 3 times in a row before we manage to get it to fall asleep thanks to Hoenn. Now I figured that bulk up would be coming, and I know Mah-Dry-Bread has bad special defense. Actually, I've used Mah-Dry-Bread twice in challenges, solo in Fire Red and in a double in this game with Mah-Chop, who did have to do most of the heavy lifting, and it is terrifyingly bad in most stats, bar attack and HP. So I used the Miracle Seed to make our Bullet Seed a tiny bit stronger, and that is what I start to use on it to try and take it down. It never wakes up and we can hit our Bullet Seeds over and over and over to down it. Going through Slateport, we reach the point where we have to do the Cycling Road rival fight, and this is never a pleasant experience, I must say. May will have evolved her Mudkip into Marsh Stomp at this point, which does have some pretty lethal ground attacks, but it is also quad weak to grass, so hopefully we can mess it up with our Bullet Seed. Everything crossed then in that sense. So I have mixed thoughts. We strike Lombre with sludge and one hit that opponent from full health, which is pretty handy because it means we don't have to worry about that opponent. Then comes Marsh Stomp, and this is the point that things go bad. We land 3 shots of Bullet Seed into it and do well over half. All looks well and good, right? It hits Mudshot, does well over half our health, and more crucially, lowers our speed. That proves to be fatal, as it can outspeed us on the next turn, and we go down to a second blast of Mudshot. Well nuts! I go for a few more levels, which isn't just for this fight, but for the next gym too, because the electric gym is going to be absolutely hideous, I can tell. I grind up to level 34 because I got carried away, and then make another try. For the Watson fight, I can see us having to be level 40 plus to deal with him, due to the obstacle of that Magneton. We'll see. We take Lombre down with a single hit of sludge once again, so not a problem, and then it is the rematch with Marsh Stomp. Our Bullet Seed does noticeably more damage this time. 3 hits leave it on red health, where just a higher damage roll or another hit would have ended it. This could be bad. Thankfully, we survived Mudshot hardily. We're able to tank another one, probably, and even though our speed drops, we can outspeed Marsh Stomp to take it down. Last is Slugma, and we can, comfortably, outspeed despite the mud and drop it with sludge. Well, that went better, for sure. I am dreading this next bit because I think we are going to be stuck here for a while. Watson's Magneton is often an horrific opponent because it resists a lot of attacks. We can't easily hurt it due to not having any moves that are good against steel, and it can also paralyse us, confuse us and hit us with a fixed damage Sonic Boom. Plus, his other 3 Pokemon have paralysis capability too, so this is going to be bad. Also, his other move never misses. We have Sludge Bomb going in, but Magneton is unfortunately immune to poison, so it's going to be either Pound or Bullet Seed to hurt it. This is going to suck massively. Sludge Bomb is useful versus Voltorb and Electrike because we can one-hit both of those opponents with that move, and I then realise that maybe I've made a fatal mistake. Watson also has 2 super potions. I do get some liberal use of yawn throughout the fight to try and keep Magneton asleep as much as possible, but we just can't do enough damage to it. Pound feels like it does marginally more damage than Bullet Seed, so I might go down that route. I really wish we got something a bit better to deal with the Magneton. Something that did neutral damage would be fine even. We get paralysed with Thunder Wave on the first turn, not that it does much good, and we just keep trying to whittle it down. Fair where fair is due, you know. We do get it to red health, but that's about the time that I recall he has the healing items, and we are doomed to fail when he heals Magneton almost back up to full. So that is something I need to be aware of in future efforts then. He never lands supersonic on us, which I suppose is a blessing because we would have done even worse if confused, but the paralysis is occasionally a problem. I wonder what level I'll need to be in order to brute force Magneton. I said at least 40. 45? 50? It's a scary thought. While grinding up, I look at our moves and realise that we can actually get a super effective move, which is the good news. The bad news is that it's Rock Smash, which isn't ideal, but it could be better than nothing. I just have to figure out where the move deleter is before I go down that option because I do not want that move for the full game. I can't delete it until after the 6th gym potentially, so I will be crippling myself with one almost unusable move for the time being, but it might be my only option. I get to level 45, learn the move, and then set out to re-challenge Watson. I figure this is the best chance. The first half of the fight goes exactly the same. We Sludge Bomb, Voltorb and Electrike into submission, and they are not much of a challenge. Our level advantage is just too much for them. I wish I could say the same about the fight with Magneton. We hit a Rock Smash but don't get the defense drop, and it paralyses us with Thunder Wave. I foresaw this and gave Camille a berry to alleviate it, meaning that it's not a problem for the moment and we can continue to hammer Magneton with Rock Smash attacks to hurt it. We do get a few defense drops over the fight as he heals it with his super potions, but they come later in the fight rather than earlier, which isn't helpful, and we get hit with both another Thunder Wave and a Supersonic. The Shockwave attacks that come our way aren't too bad, but they soon mount up in damage, and by the time we take Magneton down with a final Rock Smash, we have been hurt quite noticeably. Last is Manectric, and we do get blasted with a Shockwave, but thankfully we shrug off the paralysis and drop it with Sludge Bomb to give us the badge. The next major fight is the Maxi one at Mount Chimney, and we've got a bit of a level advantage, though we are going to be intimidated at the start of the fight by Mighty Hoenn, which isn't going to be helpful, I'm sure. Added to the fact that Golbat and Camerupt will resist Sludge Bomb, which is our best attacking move at the moment, I'm worried. I'm right to be, you know, because this goes pretty badly. We strike Mighty Hoenn with Sludge Bomb and just miss out on knocking it out, as it survives on red health, though our Sludge Bomb does poison it and take it down, though we do get hit with Sand Attack. Naturally. We fight Camerupt next, and our Pound crits to do massive damage, but we get hit with Magnitude in exchange. He heals it, we miss our next Pound and get taken down with another Magnitude. This one at max power, and we go crashing down. Well damn! I'm going to go and grind for a bit. I think once we start to get better moves, we will be okay, you know. But at the moment, we are still stuck with weak moves, and that's not the most helpful of circumstances. At least, once we get this out of the way, we can go and get returns, so that will be an improvement for sure. Once again, Mighty Hoenn survives Sludge Bomb, and this time we don't get the poison. Once again, we get tagged with Sand Attack, and our accuracy goes down. Maxi heals his Dark Doggo, and we have to hit another sludge bomb to take it down. When Camerupt comes down, I'm curious what will happen, and we fire a sludge bomb at it. I didn't think it would one hit the volcanic camel, and I'm wrong as the move crits and we drop it hard. That went well, I'll say for sure. I was wrong. Last is Zubat, not Golbat as I originally thought, and it survives our sludge bomb and misses Supersonic. He heals it, we miss the killing blow with sludge bomb at the first attempt, but take it down at the second for victory. The fire gym is next, and it is time to take on Flannery. Again, we've got to be careful of her Camerupt because it can hurt us badly. That said though, at least we don't have to worry about a tract in this run thanks to Camille being female. Anyway, we one hit Nummel with a crit return, and though I'm pretty sure the crit was unnecessary, we watch it go down. Slugma is next, and a sludge bomb takes it out before the third opponent is the Camerupt. We strike it with return and it survives on a sliver before going for a tackle attack. Weird move choice, but okay. She heals it, but our next return sends it crashing down in defeat. At the last is the Torkoal, and we do about 2/3 of its health in damage with Sludge Bomb before she counters with Body Slam. The first move paralyses us, but we survive that and the second Body Slam, and we can take it out with another Sludge Bomb for the 4th badge. Woo! We are on the move now as we go back to Petalburg to take on Norman, and I'm probably a bit leerier about this one than I was Flannery. Anything can happen where a slacking is concerned. I've learned that the hard way over the years. And you know what? I'll say this, I learned something I didn't know for sure. The first 3/4 of the fight are very much a sweep as we sludge bomb our way through the first lot of opponents. Downing Spinder with the move, and then we strike Vigoroth out in the same fashion, and third, the Linoon goes down the same way. So far so easy, and then comes Slacky. Here is what I didn't know. We hit a sludge bomb, and then it counters to one hit us from full health. Now I thought it was only moves that made physical contact that counter worked on, because Sludge Bomb doesn't trigger static, so it's not a contact move, but here we are. So I guess I learned that then, didn't I? Okay, so I know what I have to do on the next attempts then. Let us try this once again. Our first 3/4 of the fight go the same, so it's only when slacking comes out that things play out differently. This time I fire a Rock Smash at slacking and get a defense drop that is absolutely beautiful. We still get hit with counter, but it isn't too bad before we strike it with a Sludge Bomb that absolutely wrecks it and gives us the win, and we can move on. Next mandatory fight is the rival one outside the Weather Institute, and I'm not concerned in the slightest. Back to my prior point about counter and Sludge Bomb, it clearly doesn't make contact because Rough Skid doesn't trigger it. I checked at the Weather Institute with the Carvana and Sharpedo. Oh well. Lombre hits a crit fake out, but we down it with Sludge Bomb. Now, the tempting thing to do versus Marsh Stomp would be to go for Bullet Seed, but I strike it down with return instead. I'm getting rid of Bullet Seed shortly ahead of the next gym, I think. Last is Slugma. It just looks so miserable in the rain as we take it out with Sludge Bomb for a win. The Flying Gym is next then, and I think we will be okay here. Winona's Skarmory may be an issue, but that aside, it shouldn't be too bad. I do run around to Lily Cove City early and get rid of Rock Smash in favour of Ice Beam, so I do have a few extra levels going into Winona. I don't think I'll need them, it was just a happy side effect of getting rid of a trash move. The fight with Winona is straightforward given the level advantage we have. Swablu is first and we knock it out with return for an easy win, which I'm happy about, before Altaria emerges next. I think it has Earthquake, so that might explain that. We shoot it down with Ice Beam. Skarmory is third and we are faster, so we can hit it with 2 Ice Beams that take it down hard. though it does strike us with Steel Wing in exchange. Tropius goes down to Ice Beam. I'm not sure what she was trying to do there, but oh well. Pelipper is last, and it does usual Pelipper stuff, trying to protect stall us on the first turn, but we down it with Sludge Bomb on the next turn for the win and the badge. As I move back towards Lily Cove City, let's do some Gulpin trivia. I might have mentioned this earlier, it's the only Pokemon with a base stat total of 302. It can be seen as a parallel to Baltoy, as they are both Gen 3 Pokemon. They're both version exclusives in HGSS and are found in a mass outbreak in the same location in the different games. Both can be snagged as Shadow Pokemon in Gale of Darkness, with them having the same move in Shadow Blitz. I wish I learned Shadow Blitz in this game. I don't know what it does, but it sounds sick. Okay, I looked it up and it's actually Tackle, so oh well. Gulpin may be based on a stomach, given its shape and the digestive gases it produces, or it might be based on a single giant poison gland, or possibly a gallbladder. A lot of its Pokédex entries mention its stomach and how it goes about digesting stuff. Quite a few mention how it produces vile, overpowering gases while digesting things. This thing gets bad farts, folks! Before I head to Mount Pyre and the Magma Hideout, I will do the final May fight in Lily Cove City, just for the experience. Plus, having access to the department store is always handy. I could have done this fight earlier when I came for the move deleter, but oh well. May is a sweet. Tropius is first and it goes down to an Ice Beam, just as Winona's did earlier, before she goes for Marsh Stomp next. And although our first Bullet Seed is less than optimal, the second strike of the attack crits and drops it hard to give us the victory. I might replace that with Giga Drain eventually. I don't know if I prefer that or Shockwave. I don't know which would be more useful. Both Slugma and Ludicolo go down to a Sludge Bomb apiece to give us the victory. I'm going to head off to Mount Pyre now. While I traverse the Magma Hideout at Mount Chimney, I'll talk a bit about the channel. After the month that was June, I am trying to slowly get back to regular uploads. June was just a bad month for me, as I said in the last challenge. I think I'm going to try block uploading for a while, rather than doing different stuff each day of the week, just to see how that goes. I mean, I don't know if it will be better or not, but I'm willing to try it for nothing. Recently, there was a block of Resident Evil 4 remake episodes. I don't know when this episode will be going up in relation to those. I'm hoping the same week, but I might be moving towards fortnightly challenges rather than weekly, because sometimes the pressure to get it all done in 7 days just isn't fun. Next challenge I do was originally going to be Pokemon Platinum with a single Scorpy. I don't know if I will stick to that, but I could do, I suppose. We'll have to see. Either way, my schedule has gotten way out of hand, but I've come to terms with that. As always, if you have any ideas for future challenges, head to the comment section down below, or follow the links in the description to my Twitter or my Discord. Always interested to hear what you come up with. As always, if you haven't already done so, please don't forget to leave a like or a comment. Please don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so, because it's great for the algorithm. Hey, I did pass 250 subscribers, which I was pretty pleased about, so thanks a lot for that. If you're also interested, there is a link to my Patreon down below, but if not, and I know these are hard times, then word of mouth is a powerful thing. I've probably gone on enough. Maybe not as long as I used to, but I am trying something slightly different in not rabbiting on forever. I mean, these challenge videos have slowly been getting longer as the years gone by. The Maxi fight is next, and this one is always somewhat brutal. I commented about getting Giga Drain, but I figure I may need Shadow Ball for the Psychic Gym and the Ghost Elite 4 member, so I might not be getting Giga Drain. Well, I will examine the situation closer to the time. But this is the last major fight before the Psychic Gym, so every level counts. Let's do this. We get extraordinarily lucky versus Mightyena, as since we're intimidated, we fire an ice beam at it, which does about 2/3 and gets a fortunate freeze. Very nice indeed. We fire a few sludge bombs at it, needing a few due to the fact that Maxi heals his dark doggo, but we can take it down very shortly afterwards and it's not a problem. We hit Camerupt with an ice beam and do less than half, and I am denied that as a future option thanks to it using an amnesia. We strike it with return, but it does survive and deals us a mighty blow with Earthquake. We can take it down with a few more returns, which is massive because even with nearly a 30 level advantage, it would have 2-hit us. Crobat strikes us with wing attack and probably puts us in knockout range, but we manage to strike it with an ice beam and take it out to give us a narrow win. Phew! I'm pretty sure that was closer than it should have been. Intimidate is a brutal thing. I keep going and make my way to Moss Deep City and prep for the Psychic Gym and the level of pain that this is likely going to be. I did want to get a Shell Bell before this fight, but alas, real world time sought to screw me over as I had limited access to the ROM and couldn't make it before the tide went down. Let's try it and see. I think we are going to take too much damage in early attempts to be successful. I have got a citrus berry on to try and work around it somewhat, but between Earthquake from Claydol and Psychic attacks from everything else, we are going to get hurt. And I'm right. Claydol does slightly under half our health from Earthquake. We can't one-hit that with Shadow Ball, and Xatu is faster than us. This is pretty much set up for an absolute fustercluck as efforts go, and although we get them to waste 2 Hyper Potions on Claydol, the Xatu uses Calm Mind and duly ends us with Psychic as a threat. Let me just try something. I make another attempt and I figure to go for Xatu this time, but I'm not sure if it's going to make a difference. If we're fighting Xatu, we're going to get hit by Claydol. Even if we take Xatu down, we'll have to deal with Solrock or Lunatone, so this is going to be a big ask. We do take Xatu down in this effort with a Shadow Ball. We do manage to hurt Lunatone to the point that it pops its own citrus berry. We do manage to hurt Claydol with a Shadow Ball, but it is still too much to ask for at this level, so I figure I'll head off and grind until I can get the Shell Bell. I mean, maybe if I use Giga Drain I could, but it is about what move to replace, since it would likely have to be Sludge Bomb. I get to level 72 and decide to make another try. There's still like 3 hours real world time before low tide, so that's not exactly helpful. Hopefully we take damage a bit better now we're a bit higher level and we can deal out a little bit more. I make a few attempts and across them work out a few things. We have a speed tie with Xatu. We can one-hit both Xatu and Lunatone, but we still cannot one-hit either Claydol or even Solrock. It's close, and we take about 1/3 of our health in damage from Earthquake from Claydol. So I can keep going with the grinding, or I can try to use Giga Drain and see how that works for us. There's a few drawbacks. Low PP, not the most powerful of moves, but health recovery will be very nice indeed. The first attempt with the Giga Drain strategy is doomed to fail when we get crit by Claydol's Earthquake, which, not helpful. Giga Drain does less damage than Shadow Ball, but the health recovery is pretty nice, so I'll make another go at it. Still no joy with this, as Earthquake from Claydol and Psychic from Lunatone take us down. I think I need to be strong enough to one-hit Claydol with Shadow Ball. We are not too far off, so let's see if we can get a few more levels and take it from there. I was going to wait until I had the Shell Bell, but I get to level 77 and decide to make another try at this, just to see if we can do it without. I am feeling optimistic, I will say that. I am so very right to be, as the fight begins and we fire a Shadow Ball into Claydol to down it hard in a single hit, and that might be the most dangerous opponent down. Solrock comes out, but I figure it'll go for a sunny day and I focus on Xatu instead to down it with a Shadow Ball. Next is Lunatone, and that is a dangerous opponent because it knows hypnosis, and that is potentially lethal. So I focus on that before Solrock hits us with a psychic attack for about a quarter of our health. I don't think Solrock is a special attacker if I'm honest. We down it with Shadow Ball and can move on. Next major fight is Archie. There's a surprising lack of fights with him in Emerald, this being the only one. I guess they figured Maxi was a better character. Maybe. I don't know why they did it that way. Emerald's story works, so it's not a complaint. This is a closer fight than you would think. We 2-hit Mightyena with Ice Beam, but lose both attack and speed to Intimidate and Scary Face. I always wonder why they decided to give Mightyena another ability later on in Gen 6. Crobat is faster, well duh, and lands Confuse Ray, meaning that we hit ourselves a bunch of times in confusion, which isn't pleasant, as well as getting struck with Wing Attack and Air Cutter. Eventually though, we shake it off and down it with a single Ice Beam, and thanks to the Shell Bell I finally have, we can get some health back. Last is Sharpedo, and that is also faster, landing Swagger to confuse us. Thankfully though, we fight through the confusion this time and drop it with Sludge Bomb to give us the win over Archie. Next is the one and only, and this is never an easy fight, thanks largely to that irritating Kingdra, which is very rarely a simple fight. Double Team and Rest is just a brutal combination. Plus, it has Ice Beam and can freeze us with that. Taking it down quickly is often the key to victory, but that's often easier said than done. Love Disc goes down to a single Sludge Bomb, so that's one annoying opponent out of the way. I've been confused by that thing before. Whiscash is next, and it survives return to hit us for brutal damage with Earthquake, but we can fight through it to take it down with another return. 2 down, and it's Kingdra time. We do massive damage with Sludge Bomb and manage to poison it, but it does go for Double Team, and Hoenn uses a Hyper Potion when poison damage drops it into red health. Then comes a series of frenzied turns when we keep trying to land Sludge Bomb, and we're partially successful some of the time. We knock its health down again and again and again, getting it within a killing blow range, only for our attack to miss or it to go for Rest, which is really unhelpful. It takes like 6 or 7 turns, but we do eventually bring down Kingdra with return after weakening it with Sludge Bomb, and that's a relief because I really hate fighting that thing here. Next is Celio, and we land a Sludge Bomb to put it on red health, and we poison it, but it does land an Aurora Beam that lowers our attack, and although the poison finishes it off, the damage has been done, and Crawdont can survive our Sludge Bomb as a result and clips us with Crab Hammer, but we can shrug that off and take it down to give us the final badge. Phew! Guess I best go make my way to Victory Road. In Victory Road there is the fight with Wally, and I can see one of his Pokemon being a potentially annoying opponent here, but I digress as we move into the battle. This is a relatively smooth fight as we're mostly set up well to counter his team, and we shoot his Altaria down with an Ice Beam to get this fight underway, and his response is to send in his ace, Gardevoir. We Shadow Ball it to the face though, and that move is enough to bring it down, meaning that he goes for Delcatty, and we promptly fire a Sludge Bomb at that to give us the knockout. Things are going too well though, and it's time for the rough opponent in Magneton, as we have no decent way to fight this thing. We do get struck with a Thunderbolt, but 2 Ice Beams are enough to bring it down for the count. That was about my best option since it's better defensively physically than specially. Last is Roselia, and another Ice Beam is enough to down that opponent and give us the win. I fight through Victory Road and make it to Evergrande City, and here are our stats at level 81. Our HP is pretty good, but our attack is our next best stat, and I wouldn't say that it's fantastic. That's a little worrying for sure, but we can always grind up some more if need be. Our special defence and speed is slightly worse than our attack. That defence though, the word yikes springs to mind. How do I think this will go? Sydney won't be pleasant due to that intimidate at the start. We have the means to beat Phoebe, but how easy it will be is up for debate. Glacier will be doable, and bar Kingdra, I think Drake will be as well. How it goes versus Wallace though, I cannot say. Take your guesses on if we can do it at this level or not right now, folks. Dark Trainer Sydney is first, and I'll see how this plays out. We stride out to face him, and words are exchanged before the fight begins. For a pretty weak Pokemon, and certainly something you wouldn't expect an Elite Four member to normally use, Mightyena is massively irritating, as it has the Intimidate ability, and when it also survives our Ice Beam, we get hit with Sand Attack too. Yep, definitely irritating. We take it out with Return, but the damage is definitely done. Shiftry is out next, and this can be a pain with Double Team, but we manage to land Sludge Bomb and drop it hard. Cacturn is next. Our Sludge Bomb misses at the first attempt, and we get tagged with Cotton Spore before taking it out at the next attempt with Sludge Bomb. Damage well and truly done now, as we get outsped by Crawdont, who uses Swords Dance and hits us bloody hard with Strength. Worse, we can't hurt it too much. It's going to be nothing less than a 3-hit knockout, and 2 of them put Crawdont in healing range. Sydney has healing items, and he isn't afraid to use them, so it's a case of when we lose, not if. Despite trading blows for several turns, we eventually go down, and it's back to the grinding board then. I come back at level 91, having made a few attempts along the way, but nothing really concrete, and here we finally get some success versus Sydney. I go for a Sludge Bomb versus Mightyena, hoping for the 1-hit knockout, but it does survive on red health, which massively unhelpful, as we then get hit with Sand Attack. He heals it, we have to take it out with 2 more attacks, but there's no more danger abound, we don't get hit with anything else. Shiftry goes down to a single Sludge Bomb, which lands to my massive relief, before we manage to land the attack versus Cacturn too. It means that we are faster than Crawdont this time, and although we do get hit with Strength, he doesn't get the chance to power up as we 2-hit his Giant Shrimp with Sludge Bomb and Return. Absol is last, and it can hit us hard with Slash thanks to powering up with Swords Dance, but despite an early miss, we can take it down with Return and Sludge Bomb to give us the victory. Cool design, but an absolute pain to fight with the pressure ability in this game. Let's move on then. The Ghost Trainer, Phoebe, is next, and I feel reasonably confident here. There is going to be more pressure tactics with her 2 Dusclops, but I think we should be fine to get through it. Shadow Ball will likely be a key move here. I think Sableye might be irritating too, if I'm honest. The first Dusclops goes to Protect, as it pretty much always does, because Phoebe has to be bloody awkward, but we 1-hit that with Shadow Ball on the next turn. The first Bayonet also goes down to a single Shadow Ball on the next turn, before it is the turn of the second Dusclops to come on down. It actually survives Shadow Ball on a Sliver and hits Earthquake, but we don't take too much damage, and we can down it with another Shadow Ball after the Citrus Berry takes it out of healing range. The second Bayonet goes down to Shadow Ball before Sableye is last. Now, it didn't have a weakness in this generation, so we blast it with Shadow Ball, but it survives on 1/3 of its health and goes for Double Team, meaning our next Shadow Ball misses and we get hit with one of Sableye's own before we down it with a final Shadow Ball for the win, and we can move on. Ice Trainer Glacier is next, and in theory this shouldn't be too bad. It's going to be neutrality all around. In practice, I wonder how it's going to really play out when we start to trade blows. That's my thought. She hasn't got an advantage against us, we haven't got an advantage against her. Her first Pokemon is Celio, and we strike it with a Sludge Bomb, only for it to survive on red health, alas, and put up hail. She does heal her sea lion, but we can take it down with 2 returns. We have to, really. Glalie survives Sludge Bomb 2 and goes for Light Screen, but our only special move is Ice Beam, which isn't going to do me a massive good in this fight anyway, and we finish it off quickly. The second Celio goes down in a similar manner to the first as we take it out with Sludge Bomb and return. The second Glalie goes down to a single critical hit, which is pretty nice, before the Wall Rain is last. Our Sludge Bomb does over half its health in damage and even manages to poison it, so even though it eats the citrus berry to heal, the poison damage makes it so that we can drop it with 1 more move to take us through to the penultimate battle with Drake. We have the perfect move for the Dragon Trainer in Ice Beam, as it will severely mess up 3 of his Pokemon, so it's just Kingdra and Shelgon we best be careful around then. But the rest of them shouldn't be too much of an issue. Shouldn't be. Let's see how apt that prediction may or may not be. Shelgon follows in Phoebe's footsteps by being awkward and going for Protect, but our Ice Beam takes it down on the next round in a single hit, so great start. We are faster than Flygon, and given it's 4 times weak to ice, our Ice Beam ends it very swiftly. Altaria is next as Drake fails to learn the previous lesson, and we duly dispatch that with another Ice Beam to take it down. Kingdra is next, and I go for Sludge Bomb, being massively relieved when we crit our attack to end it in a single blow. Last is Salamence, and this actually is faster than us and strikes us with Dragon Claw, which does somewhat decent damage, but our Ice Beam takes it down and we take the victory. Now that was smoother than expected. It is time for Wallace then and the champion fight. I'm not going to lie, I have some concerns, mainly about Gyarados and when that puts an appearance in during this fight, because lowered attack will hurt us badly. I have a few cards left to play in the form of rare candies and the TMs for both Giga Drain and Shockwave if they are needed. A big if, we'll see. Now, our return does just less than half on Wailord, and we get tagged with Water Spout for decent damage, though we do get plenty of health back on the next turn when we finish Wailord with Sludge Bomb. Next is Gyarados. Well, that's just irritating as we get intimidated, so our physical blows are going to hurt a lot less as the fight goes by. We do less than half with Sludge Bomb, but we do poison it as it goes for Dragon Dance and then Earthquake to inflict massive damage upon us. But although it does survive our second Sludge Bomb, we do watch it go down to poison damage. Next is Whiscash, and if it goes for an attack, we are doomed, but we do crit our return to take it down without an issue. Tentacruel though is next, and it just ends us with Hydro Pump, and that's a sudden line through our effort. We do need a better way of ending Gyarados for sure. So I use our rare candies to go up to level 100, and I also replace Shadow Ball and Ice Beam with Shockwave and Giga Drain. I figure this is probably going to give us a massive edge. I'm not too fussed about the post-game fight with Steven, so wrecking our moveset isn't going to be an issue for me. Our stats are as good as they're going to be for this fight, so let's go and get down to business. Our physical attack isn't going to be too spectacular thanks to Intimidate, but we do at least have a good way to deal with Gyarados and Whiscash now with quite effective moves, and both of those do have ground moves to use against us, so we need it. This is an interesting fight. 2/3 of it are smooth. Wailord is first and takes massive damage from our Sludge Bomb, landing on red health and getting poisoned before hitting Double Edge. Unfortunately, it does survive the recoil and he heals it before we smack into it with a return and a Giga Drain to finish it off and restore our health back up to maximum. Giga Drain and Shell Bell is nice. Gyarados is next, and it is a simple matter to strike that with a single Shockwave to drop it like a stone, and given how annoying that thing can be, that's a relief. Whiscash goes down to a single Giga Drain, and that is also pretty dang handy, before Tentacruel is next. We are faster this time and we land a return, a crit one, no less, which is absolutely massive, and we take down his oversized jellyfish. Next is Ludicolo, and we blast that with a sludge bomb to take it down, and that leaves just his ace, Milotic. And this is a trial. We begin with sludge bomb, doing slightly over half, while we get hit with surf. I try to finish it with Giga Drain, and it lands on red health before going for recover. And then, across about the next 10 or so turns, it just repeatedly spams recover over and over and over and over again, which makes for a massively annoying fight. We keep hitting it with sludge bombs, but they are not quite powerful enough to end it from where its health ends up after recover. And worse, we poison it, which means that its Marvel scale ability activates and sludge bomb and return suddenly do a lot less damage. So I start firing all my moves at it, sludge bomb and return and shockwave, just to try and wear it down, because I figure sooner or later it is going to run out of power points for recover. And the great thing is, while Milotic is constantly spamming recover, it is annoying, but we're also not in any danger. It does know Toxic as a move, and if we could be poisoned and it had used this strategy, we would probably have lost. But immunity to poison means Wallace is wasting our time and his. He's running a stall tactic that isn't going to give him a victory, and eventually he realises it, going on the offensive with Surf, but that just means we can finally take the Milotic down with our attacks, ending it eventually with a Giga Drain that finally brings this fight to a close. Well, that wasn't too bad. I've had a lot worse Emerald challenges, a lot worse, and it was smoother than the last one in Pokemon Black with Trubbish, that's for sure. Better move coverage made it smoother. Thanks so much for watching, I hope you enjoyed. I know I enjoyed this one far more than the previous one. Join me again next time for another Pokemon challenge as I see if I can... Yeah, you know what? I am going to go for what I had planned originally. I'm going to see if I can beat Pokemon Platinum with just a single Skorupi. Sure to be interesting for sure. Platinum can be quite a brutal game, so we will have to see. As always, if you have enjoyed, please don't forget to leave a like and maybe a comment. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already done so. If you have any ideas for future challenges, drop them in the comment section down below or follow the link in the description to my Twitter or my Discord. Always interested to see what you've come up with. I think for the second half of the year I am going to look to do more viewer submissions rather than my own ideas. Outro time. I'm not going to talk here for ages. I've been somewhat better for the most part, but I'm glad June is well out of the way because my health took a plummet over that month. At time of writing this, I'm feeling better despite some flu going around the house, though I've only been affected minorly. Still feel pretty crappy though. I'm still trying to be kinder to myself. Probably why, for the time being, there's only going to be a challenge every 2 weeks rather than one. I might keep it at that long term, it might be a temporary thing. But I've really had to think about stuff over the last few weeks, and I do need to look after myself more, rather than burning the candle at both ends. I can only do that for so long. Anyway, it feels like it took a dreary note, so I am going to jump off here. Oh, actually, you might have noticed, there was actually music in this video. Now, you've probably noticed, there are points where I do speed the video up, there are points where I do slow the video down. Now, the original soundtrack of the game, I can't really leave that in when I do that because it just sounds really distorted, so this has actually got background music. I mean, I've resisted it for quite a time because I'm worried about copyright infringement. That's the length and breadth of my YouTube knowledge. Even after all this, I hear some absolute horror stories. I'm like, no, not me, not me. But I guess we'll see. I guess we will see. Somebody suggested it. I thought, why not? Let's try it. This is the Hoenn Route 120 theme, by the way, that's been playing throughout. So I like this. I think it's a nice jaunty tune. I might keep this as the background music for all my challenge videos. It's possible. Anyway folks, thanks for watching. As always, this has been Once and Future Gamer, and this has been Pokemon Emerald with a single Gulpin. Take care now, have a great day, and see you next time. Bye bye now, so long, farewell, see ya. Ta-ra, so long.